Next on the Delaware Way, a state senator predicts an increase in the personal income tax, and the Ladybug Festival is looking for X. This is the Delaware Way. Welcome to the Delaware Way. They have passed a state budget in Dover, but have they fixed the state's financial problems for the future? Here to talk about that and much more is Senator Brian Pettyjohn from District 19. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Let's talk about the fiscal stability of Delaware going forward. You got through this budget mini crisis, we'll call it.
Yeah.
There seems to be a crisis every year.
It does.
This one doesn't seem as bad as past years. But everybody says that you need to get revenue that is more sustainable. You can't really count on unclaimed funds, and you can't count on the franchise fees. You need to find something else. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, we need to kind of come up with a solution for our budget that doesn't put us in a crisis situation year after year. It seems that every January there's bad news. Everybody's starting to wring their hands about what's going to go on with the budget. There's been several proposals to try to fix that, starting with the budget smoothing fund that our state treasurer, Ken Simpler, has come up with, where we don't necessarily tie our expenses to the revenue we bring in. Right now, we pretty much spend everything that we bring in. No matter if if we bring in $5 billion, if we bring in $3 billion, we're going to spend everything that we bring in. What we're trying to do and what makes good sense is kind of how you work on your household budget. You expense for things, you expense based on certain different scenarios. Not necessarily you're going to spend everything that you bring in. You have a savings account, kind of. When times are good, when you get a Christmas bonus, you shouldn't really go out and spend that.
One of the things that makes Delaware so attractive to people are the low taxes. Down south, you look at all the people that moved here from Jersey that are of retirement age. They're moving here by the droves to get away from high taxes. It almost seems like it's a holy grail here that you can't touch the sales tax, you can't touch the personal income tax. Does that, though, do you have to change the way people see that? Does that have to happen eventually?
We have to work on that eventually, yeah. We have to change that. But one of the things that you realize, they're not coming here just for a low personal income tax. We have hardly any property tax here. And that's what a lot of people move here for. When they're paying for a year here in Delaware, especially in Sussex County, what they pay for a month in New Jersey, New York, suburban Washington, D.C. Property tax is where they get a significant amount of savings.
Sales tax, too. I mean,
sales tax, definitely.
You hear that all the time. Everybody talks about Delaware for sales tax. Some people come here to buy. They're not supposed to, but they come here to buy things and go back to Philly or Jersey.
Look at the outlets during the Christmas shopping season. You see buses upon buses come through the outlets there at Rehoboth from people from New Jersey and New York and Pennsylvania coming to do their Christmas shopping.
I guess the point is that, does that thinking have to change? You're saying it does have to.
It doesn't have to completely change. We're not going to become a New Jersey. We're not going to become a high tax state. But we have to look at certain things. We have to take a look at the pension exclusion that we have for retirees that are coming here from other areas. We have to look at personal income tax. We have to look at some of those things.
These aren't popular things to say.
No, they're not. They're not. But as our economy has changed in Delaware, we have to start looking at different things. We've got a budget system that was really set up back in the 70s, and it hasn't fundamentally changed for that entire time.
Now, usually when a new governor comes into office, the time to start new revenue sources to raise taxes is when you first come into office, so people forget about it in a few years.
By the time re-election.
Yeah, by the time re-election comes around. He's losing that time now.
He's losing that time, but I think he also realizes that just increasing personal income tax is not going to fix the state's finances long term. It's going to have to be a comprehensive plan to fix our revenue streams, but also fix our expenses. And you see there's been several committees that have taken a look at what the state spends versus some of our towns and the counties to see whether or not the state should be spending money in certain things that traditionally, and especially in other areas, counties and municipalities are paying for.
In New Jersey, right across the Delaware River, they're seriously talking about recreational marijuana being legalized. And they're talking about it, well, I shouldn't say this. people that talk about it seriously say it's a revenue source. The governor says it's because there's been social injustice, but most people see it as a revenue source for the state. I know the governor's come out and said that he's not ready to sign a bill for recreational marijuana, but if New Jersey does it and Pennsylvania does it and they're getting all that revenue, do you have to do it?
That's something we've had a lot of discussion of. We saw that when Delaware was one of the first ones to really bring the casinos in, aside from New Jersey, aside from Atlantic City, we saw a tremendous amount of revenue come in from that into the state of Delaware. And really, we started budgeting for that. We started depending on that money. And back when the first financial crisis hit back in 2008, we started taking more of that money from the casinos. Now we're in a situation where we've taken so much from those casinos that we're almost driving them out of business. So if we legalize marijuana here, start bringing in the revenue from that, are we going to be in the same situation where we're going to start depending on it so much that we keep increasing the taxes, and other states come along and legalize it as well? A lot of those customers that would be coming into Delaware while we're the only state around that's doing it will not come to Delaware. They'll stay in their home state of Pennsylvania or Maryland or Virginia or New Jersey. And then that revenue that we've become so dependent upon is going to go away, just like the casinos.
Well, let's talk about other revenue that might go away. You have legalized sports betting in Delaware. The Supreme Court is expected to rule that legalized sports betting will be allowed in most states, certainly in New Jersey, but depending on which way the ruling goes, it could be in all states. Right now, people travel to Delaware Park to bet. They won't be coming there anymore.
Yep.
How much will that hit the state?
That's going to be a significant blow to the state. Again, I think we're talking about $20 million a year. Don't hold me to those numbers, but I think the parlay betting brings in a good chunk of money every year to the state coffers, and we're going to lose that. But we're also going to be able to pick up some of the other sports betting as well. So the net loss might not be as bad as some people think. There's going to be the ability to bet on more sports, different types of betting, but
I don't know. When you look at the parking lot, all you see are Pennsylvania plates and New Jersey plates.
We're not going to be the only game in town then, as well.
Yeah. So it sounds like when you take those factors, that you're not going to have recreational marijuana before other states. When you're going to lose some of the revenue from the sports betting, you almost have to start looking at a tax increase.
Yeah, and again, we have to look at those more stable revenue sources.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I always appreciate you coming in. Senator Brian Pettyjohn. The Delaware Way continues right after this.